accurate. Going into the Toronto series, he and I had multiple conversations. As it plays out, you're never sure which way it's going to go. And in regards to, is it a relief? It's deeper than that, given the history that I've been. It's something that we're proud of, the things that we've done, and it's deeper than that.
Fred, a lot of free agents coming up. I'm working with you and JJ Redick. Obviously, you probably want to have him back. Just tell what he's brought to the team and in the future what you'd like to see with him.
I mean, he's first all class. His ability to stretch the floor, we all get. And there is a professionalism that he brings to the table that we all understand. And I think in general, when you talk about the team, it's my wish that we could have as many of these guys back as we can.
Brad, Joel, his exit interview was implied that Bernie had used too much in too many games at certain times during the season. Do you agree with that? And how much of him being ready for the playoffs or fit for the playoffs is on him to take better care of himself when he is healthy during the season and coming into the season?
I think it's a partnership for sure. With Joel's age and his recent playoff experience, and really led by him, and we for sure understand that his health dictates a significant amount of our success. And when you sort of throw the word health out, it comes with lifestyle, it comes with all the things behind it. And my conversation with Joel yesterday, he understands the responsibility, the pieces that need to be put in place around him to help him, especially over summer months that we've all learned, have a chance to really set the stage.
Hey.
I have faith in
Okay, so A is right.
Very direct in relation to, am I going to be the coach or am I not? Those discussions were had clearly, like I'm talking to you now, for a long time. The Toronto series, if that's what you're asking, yes. And I'm also, I'm the son of a coach. I'm the fifth longest tenured coach in the NBA. Coaching doesn't happen for always. It doesn't always happen forever, whether it's my terms or somebody else's. And I'm proud of what we've done here. I love working for Josh Harris and David Blitzer. I'm thrilled to have Elton Brand as one of my however many general managers I've had, and I was one for 3 months. And so when you look back and you look at back-to-back 50-win seasons, we're playing in the semifinals, and the ball hangs on the rim what seemed like a month. And we got 2 NBA All-Stars. When I put sort of my rear-view mirror hat on, and I remember, like you do, going to PCOM. We were in PCOM. Think about that, Howard. We were in PCOM. And I had one court. I wouldn't even go down to my players' locker room. I was ashamed. I didn't want to go down there. And now we've arrived at a place that we have a chance for annual success. We have a chance to annually knock out 50-win seasons and truly contest for a championship. I can't look at players or you more sincerely and say that. This is a destination. It wasn't when I came here. In fact, it wasn't even close. What it did have was an amazing city. And it had an amazing basketball-rich history from colleges to the Philadelphia 76ers. And so as we go through this question, which you know is going to come up, I'm proud of where we were and where we are. I understand the lay of the land as a head coach in the NBA just fine. And I sleep fine. And I love coaching my players. We have a culture that they want to be here. They want to play here, to recruit free agents, to hold on to people. I like the fact that I can go get coaches and feel confident and look at them and tell them, I'll do whatever I can to help you advance, too. And so here we are, and there we were. And yes, Josh and I speak freely, and yes, I was completely aware of how he saw my role in future as the playoffs unfolded.
So he told you you would be back.
Howard, what language do I have to say? Yes.
Okay, I just want to.
Yes.
All right. Yesterday or last night at the meeting, what was discussed on what you need to do as a coach with your team to move forward, if anything?
I mean, first of all, last night's meeting, it seems I'm kind of a social misfit most times. Sort of I am, and I'm proud of that. You know, it wasn't like this delineated, dramatic stuff. I went through 17 exit interviews yesterday. We lose as we lost. We get in from Toronto at, 2 in the morning. I'm here at 10, and every 20 minutes a player comes through my door. And we talk about family and thank yous and a little bit about basketball. And then I get in a car service and go to Manhattan. And we have dinner with Elton and Josh and so on. And it's just part of the day where you have exit interviews and tighten things up. To get into specifics of like, here we are and like this is what we have to do to improve as a coach or a program or a GM or whatever, we talk surface stuff. The granular stuff is coming. It was more holistic and really, talking about certainly the design of the team and things, but to be specific about your question, it really didn't come up much.
Are you okay with your? Can I just follow up? Are you okay with your point guard not shooting a 15-footer?
I wished he would. Like if I'm sitting in front of you, and he's 26, I think the conversation would probably be a little bit more disingenuous. But it's part of, as we say, and it's going to be this discussion, I think probably for a few years where none of you, led by you, are going to, be happy if he's not cranking up, 10, 15 footers a game. But, I hear you. I understand the question, and it's a fair one. And Ben knows this too. But I stand by that this isn't going to be the thing that defines him immediately. It will at some point, for sure. And I feel like this year, as it played out with Jimmy and having the ball and us putting him in different floor spots, he's shown the versatility that we should all be thrilled with at age 22 and 6'10", that I can use him in also different areas.
What's up, Bert?
What's up, Keith?
You said that you knew that you were going to be the coach, you were going to be retained. Do you wish they would have made that public beforehand? Because
Right.
I'm saying is you guys are in the conference semifinals. The night before the game, the day before the game, a report comes out that you're going to lose your job. And you had players yesterday after the fact basically saying, this is our coach. Now, the thing is, that's a huge distraction if that could have been avoided if they did tell you that you were going to be retained.
Right, I understand the question. And I answer it like this. If we responded, this is my 6th year in Philadelphia. I have been fired every one of these years. It's true. It's Philadelphia. Every single one of these years, somebody, has me not coming back. And it will happen again next year, early. And so, this is just the way it works in my industry, in this city. And to have the club feel the need to repetitively deal with this or other things, because it happens on many other issues other than Brett Brown, I'm fine with it, and we move on. And it's incredible how the world we live in works, but that's the way it goes. And my simple answer is, I'm just fine with them not responding to the noise that surfaced.
Even though some of your players didn't know if you were coming or going and the magnitude of that game?
But maybe you could flip it around and say they're going to go play their tail off because they care about my future. Maybe we could say that. And I will say this about my players. I loved coaching this team. They played hard, and amazingly, they played together. In our third iteration of Philadelphia 76ers, we're trying to do the best we could, utilizing Jimmy. Here comes Tobias. Ben, you're off the ball, figuring it all out and trying to keep the boys in the boat. That is something that we're proud of. You don't just click your heels and build chemistry. And so the players responding like you say they did, I wouldn't connect too many dots like it was an incredible distraction. Because if we take another position, you could say maybe it was a motivating factor. I don't know.
Hey, Brett, I guess whether over here to your left, I guess whether it's someone like TJ, who's been here for a long time, or even someone like Jimmy yesterday or Greg Monroe, who just came in here, they spoke about the culture a lot and how you and the coaching staff treated them. What has been your guiding philosophy for dealing with guys, regardless of how long they've been here, when they come in, and the type of experience you hope they get here?
I mean, I think that if you, and we do, I try to always, if you can sort of live by a principle, if you can help others, invariably you're probably going to help yourself. And anybody that's come in here, our motive, my objective is how do I make them to be the best they can be? Monty Williams, Lloyd Pierce, Billy Lang, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, pick them. That's just how we see the world. And that grossly abused word culture has been achieved here. None of us could deny that. You can challenge it on different fronts, but in general, this is a hell of a destination. People are treated well here. Forget my words, listen to the players. And so for us to be able to retain, recruit, grow, empower, watch this program unfold, are you serious? This is incredibly exciting. You can't just kick that down the can. How many programs in the NBA can feel like we have a chance at annual success? It still is, I look in the rearview mirror, the thing that San Antonio should get the most credit for. They don't go away. And so here we are with a 22-year-old all-star and a 25-year-old all-star, and people that want to be here, and Elton is going to do his job, and Josh and Blitz are so driven to providing the resources to win a championship. Look across the water. What, to me it's like, what are we missing? We have everything that we need to move this program forward. And so your question about culture, we're proud of the fights that we've had to fight in order to do what we've done. And culture is a word that means something to me and means something to us. And I believe that we've delivered.
Brett, I'm over here to your right. When I sit here and I look at Twitter and Facebook and social media and listen to the radio, the most common complaints that I hear have to do with dribble handoffs. People are kind of sick of those. People wonder why Joel is sitting on the perimeter, instead of, quote, getting his butt down in the blocks, right? When Jimmy comes in, obviously you run more pick and roll. The offense changes a little bit. Tobias comes in. You start doing some different things. Has your offensive philosophy changed at all based on what you did this year and sort of the evolution of your coaching tenure moving forward now?
Yeah. And I know you know the answer. You're studied. I know you know the answer. That's cool. That's all right. I got it. And so I have given this explanation before, and I'm proud to give it again. We led most of the previous years the NBA in passing. That is a fact. I believed we had a team that was better moving a lot and freeing each other a lot. Dario and Cov weren't going to break people down off an isolation or in a pick and roll. And so we led the NBA in passing. Connected to that, we led the NBA in assist percentage, or were always in the top 2. I'm proud of sharing the ball. Since we've all met 6 years ago, I told you the pass is king. The pass is king. It's everything. Because it connects the dots to chemistry. You share. And then we get a team that has the ability, like Jimmy does, to be put in an isolation and go to work. Kawhi. Put him in a middle pick and roll. Go to work. Kawhi. So then it becomes a little more static, and where do you space and place? And so I take Ben and I put him where I would do it 100 times out of 100 times. And so the evolution of our offense grows based on who do you coach? Your question about Joel Embiid is directly connected to his health. 82 games, and I saw it with Duncan, you guys saw it, you've seen it with Shaq, 82 games, rim to rim, it's unrealistic, it's hard to do. And then you drip feed on, well, you know, pick a number, whatever his health was. Do you feel like we got a chance of beating Toronto if he's healthy? You all will answer that question. I have my answer. And full credit to Toronto. Nick Nurse, Kawhi Leonard, that program, much respect. A hard fist fight it was. And so, Joel, get to the block because you're 7'2". There is some truth to that. But he also happens to be skilled enough where at times he can actually make a trail 3. Somewhere in the middle, the answer will be his health. The ability to go deeper, roll more. And, you know, he understands that. And so when you talk about, you know, pick and rolls, quantity versus the pass, I hope I answered it. When you talk about Joel Embiid, I hope I answered it. And offensively, that's how I see the world in any connection. The pass is everything.
Brett, we spoke to Jimmy yesterday. He obviously came here with quite a reputation, I guess you would say. And he said he thinks that you understood over time that he's just a different sort of guy. Like he goes about it, his business in a certain way, but that you came to understand one another. How would you describe the evolution of your relationship with Jimmy this season?
I believe what he said is true first. Somebody shared with me what he said, and I agree with him, and I appreciate his words. He is a different thinker for sure, and I say that with respect. We get he cares. We get he's highly competitive. We understand, I think there is a connection to his spirit and physicality to that city that mirrors each other. The evolution of me doing a better job of learning how to use him and him learning how to use us and Joel and so on evolved to the point where it ended up in an incredible place. You know, the ecosystem of Ben, it's not your ball right now. You go down to the dunker, and Jimmy, it is your ball. And, you know, Tobias trying to figure out where he fits in, and Joel wants to touch, and JJ can make shots and so on. That's a hard environment to pull off. And to the players' credit, and Jimmy Butler being one of the significant contributors' credit, they did it. I'm in locker rooms, you're not. You may come into a timeout on national TV and see it, but I feel it. And we arrived at a place that was actually a team. They had each other's back. Listen to the players' words. And listen to mine, but really listen to theirs. And I give him a lot of credit for that. he emerged to be a leader. He emerged to be able to recognize Ben needs this, Joe needs this, as everybody else did. And it got, for me personally, to a stage where, he and I evolved. I believe we arrived at a place that if we're, able to coach together again, he's able to play for me, I'm able to coach him. I think you jump into this thing in a far advanced way, given the history, albeit brief, that we both have had with each other, and use him more correctly, him understand me and the team more correctly right from the get-go.
Brett, I have a couple for you. What is the infrastructure to be set up around Joel? I mean, is it somebody who's going to help him with life skills, going to tuck him in at night, going to feed him breakfast in the morning? I mean, what are you going to set up around him that makes you confident he will arrive in September in the best shape?
We've done something that's very advanced, unique in the NBA, in that, and this would be an interesting story for you all. When you look at our development program, it is so much deeper than you need a jump hook, and here's a financial advisor, and here's a dentist for your child. Player development is nowadays a holistic umbrella that everybody's going to have sort of like a Team Joel, to your question, Marcus. And this extends deeper than now the head coach. We've employed somebody to oversee like the compartmental areas that would equal how do you develop a person. And it's deeper than a jump hook or a jump shot. It's deeper than that. And it's our responsibility to take these young people and families that come into this city and help them navigate life in general. And they can choose to use it, and everybody has their own world they live in, and that's fine. To your question of what infrastructure do we place around Joel, I'm not going to get specific, but I will tell you that it'll be money. It'll be incredibly well thought out, and it will be sort of mirrored to the responsibilities that he has this summer, because through either seeing his family, we all get he's not from Philadelphia, or with his partner who is from Brazil, or perhaps some things that he has to do with endorsements overseas. It's not like you just live in here. And so how we navigate that and give him the resources that he needs to arrive in September with the base that I'm telling you about, it'll be done. He will have the resources that he needs to pull that off.
And the second one is you had, I think, all 5 starters did more than endorse you. They stumped for your return yesterday, maybe without the knowledge that you were going to return anyway. How does it make you feel, what they said and how they said it?
I mean, of course it makes me proud. I think the most important thing for me is that it validates in, perhaps a more defined way that the program is on track. I feel incredibly responsible to Josh and Blitz and the Philadelphia 76ers logo uniform to be a gatekeeper. I said this when I first met you in 2013, and I don't see the world any differently. There will be a time that I'm not here. And I hope that, bells will be rung. Who's the bell ringer tonight? I hope that you're going to walk out and see 1,000 coaches at a Coach the Coaches clinic. I hope that you're going to see us in the community doing things that we should do. I hope we can leave something behind. And when I hear, to your question, how do you feel? Of course it makes me feel like I'm just doing my job. But I feel like we have been doing this for 6 years, or trying to do it. And when I hear, the words that you're talking about, I just feel like it validates what we've been trying to do since I was employed.
Brett, with so many high-priced players that you're going to have, it's going to be important to develop some lower money players as well. First of all, your thoughts on Zaire Smith? Can he become a key rotation player? And can the draft, even at 24 and with all the second-round picks, Can you get somebody there that you think, can contribute?
Elton will figure out with Josh and Blitz the money side of it all and the strategy of how do we build this team. I've gone on record, and I'll say it again, I'd love to coach this team again. When we all look at the realities of, well, what does that mean with other positions, we get the monies that would have to be budgeted to achieve that. You're going to have to develop some youth. And so now let's go to Zaire. His story is amazing to me. To see him in a hospital bed for a month, to see him lose 35, maybe even 40 pounds, and him, I'm sure, wonder, like, what just happened in my first year in the NBA? Forget about the sport, just in general to my health, and see him work his tail off and end up where he ended up. That's an amazing story. Do I think he can factor into next year? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I say that for a few reasons. First, his perseverance and love of basketball is completely evident. The kid lives in a gym, one. Because of that, he's been able, with the help of Tyler Lashbrook, that I think is in the back, been able to improve the shot that people question. And that will be the thing that ultimately makes his package whole. I think that is improving. We saw, in albeit brief glimpses in the playoffs, he's not gun-shy. He's not afraid of the stage. He's not afraid of the environment. He plays. He has that human characteristic, that personality trait that lets him not worry so much, how's my shot look, how's my shot look? If he's open, he's going to shoot it. And then third, there is an athleticism that allows him to play defense. If we need to do anything, we need to play defense in this city. In the NBA playoffs, we were either first or second with our playoff defense. I'm proud of that. We have to be that in the city of Philadelphia. And so with Zaire Smith, for those reasons that I just said, I think it's a huge summer for him. And he understands completely. What other job do you have in the world where you got 5 months, 4.5 months, so-called off? This is the time people advance. This is the time, and I'm not talking just young players, this is a time where people have a chance to improve because of the rhythm beat of an NBA season drags you out. The current just drags you out. The summertime is where you set the table to have an improvement base that I believe he's going to have. I think he's going to have a great summer.
Personnel-wise, for the sake of the argument, assuming your starting five is back together, do you think this is a team that can be made whole just with one full off season of roster planning, given the current personnel? A legit defender behind Joel, maybe a two-way guard off the bench, a mid-level exception guy, whatever. Or do you think there are fundamental puzzle pieces that need to be rearranged? Do you think this can become a legit championship team capable of contending with the Warriors just on an off season, complimenting?
Yeah, I do. And I say I do quickly and confidently because that is the bottom line. When I sit with Elton and Josh and David Blitzer, like, how do we get this done? It's not the path, the topic never pivots. It never pivots. And so to answer it obviously specifically with what's that look like, who knows? But that is the objective. And we're now at a stage, which we were probably 3 months ago, where the rules have changed. The goals have changed. The clarity of why we're really all here has changed. And so now the words have to be matched up with the roster to be able to sell a legitimate story, tell a legitimate story, and I believe they will.
And then, kind of to follow up on that, whether it's Jimmy or otherwise, you saw obviously the value of having a second ball handler next to Ben, and I know that Markelle was the guy I think that was projected in that role for a long time, but seeing how Jimmy kind of thrived in that role. Whether he comes back or not, do you think that's something that this team needs? Kind of that two-way ball handler type who can.
I
when
do.
Ben is, yeah.
Yeah, I do. We saw that with the construction of 2 years ago team. That wasn't Cov's strength. That wasn't Dario's strength. And we need that. That's kind of our sport nowadays. How do you find people that can play off a live ball and create and make plays? And a really close second is, can they shoot? And yes is the short answer.
Brett, I think you've had 3 guys on your staff move on to head coaching positions over the last year. What do you look for in assistant coaching candidates, presuming that that's something that you'll have to figure out this offseason?
Yeah. And so we do. We have as many, I suppose, as 2 positions to fill in my eyes. And without getting into sort of the granular pieces of what those qualities need to look like, I know completely sort of the areas that they will be responsible for. Most of you know that I set my NBA staff up like an NFL program. It's very compartmentalized in regards to special teams and sort of, pieces of our offense and pieces to our defense. And, there are people that are responsible for big man coaches and perimeter people and so on. And so it's very NFL-ish, and it works for me to better organize it. And so as I search and try to find with Elton, like who's going to be on the bench, what are we going to do behind the bench, there are skills, there are sort of ways people, see the world. Are you offensive guy? Are you defensive guy? Type thing that will factor into who we hire. And as time unfolds, I think in the next month we will be able to make who's going to be replacing Monty type thing as an example.
Brett, in terms of Ben's summer and the jump shot again, I guess in terms of his summer plan, like some might question whether or not going back to his brother and doing that again when it didn't necessarily produce on-court results this year is the way to go. So I guess your thoughts on that, and whether his brother might be a little too close to him to maybe challenge him the way he needs to be.
Yeah. I have known his brother since he was 4 years old. And he is a basketball coach, and he is a committed basketball coach. Is he too close to produce results? I don't think so. And in fact, I think that with the family, there is an insulation in a good way to call him out, to help him get into a gym. There's not any sort of head fakes or fear of choice of words to get in a gym and work. And to Ben's credit, that hasn't been pulling teeth. He has put in time. I think that if you looked at his free throw percentage from last year to this year, although it's not a significant jump, he has improved. And as I've said to all of you many times, I wished for more sort of human reasons that he experienced greater improvement, because I believed his work put in warranted that. So that's the free throw. As it relates to his shot, I have felt, and it hasn't maybe happened as quick as you wished, that the connection to a free throw could progress out to a shot, a 15-foot jump shot. That connection, that evolution in my coaching experiences, I've seen that, and we haven't seen it as much as I thought we were. Who he will be working with this summer is still being discussed. They do have lives outside of the Philadelphia 76ers that involve agents and people that they want to work with personally. His brother will continue to work with Ben. I believe he said that, and I endorse it. I think that it's a relationship that I don't see at all harmful. I think it's got a chance, in fact, to be very productive.
Hi, Brett. A couple
Sarah.
of quick ones. as far as you're talking about the culture and what you guys have built over the last few years, when it comes to coaching stability and the fact that you will be back here, do you think that that plays into maybe Josh and Elton's idea of being able to retain guys like Jimmy and Tobias, and that maybe players, if it's not those two, maybe others in free agency, they'll see the stability in coaching as a draw?
I hope so. And it's so much bigger than that. I hope it's a piece of that, but it really is so much bigger than that. It's this place, when you start understanding, and they come in here and you listen to our fans are amazing. It's part of the desire to try to get as high up the food chain as we can to play home court and playoffs as much as possible. So when you come, you say, well, what are the fans like? A++. Then you talk about, like, what about the city of Philadelphia? It's amazing. Close to New York, go back and forth. It's got a heartbeat. It's got a pulse. It's got a real sort of spirit. Then you walk through this beautiful facility that we have. And then you start going into the locker room and listening to the teammates that have been here for a while. And it's not words. Like, all over the place, the culture exists. The stability that I may represent, I hope it helps. I hope people like the style of play that we play. They feel like they're going to get better. I believe they do. And so with all those reasons, I think that we're an incredibly attractive destination for a free agent. I believe we're an incredibly attractive agent for a current player because words don't really matter. They have lived with us. They see it. They feel it. And, 2013, there we were. 2019, here we are. And we're different. We're where we need to be.
My second question, actually, you said style of play. And yesterday, Tobias, in his kind of list of priorities of what he wants looking at free agent style of play, was very high on that list.
Yeah.
And as it relates to him specifically, do you think that your offense and how you guys play fit him?
I do completely. And I feel a few things. First, if you go back to the notion that we play fast, we share the ball, we go side to side, we're not just setting people in a corner. Lots of the league is like that. You go sit in the corner, give it to a player that just runs a middle pick and roll 30 times a game, and have a blast. I don't think that works. I think people want to move and touch the ball and share and so on. And so we try to play that way. We play fast. If he's anything, he's an athlete. He's a deer. He gets up and down the floor as well as anybody in the NBA, let alone fellow four-man, three-man. To empower the three-point shot, we all get that's never going backwards. There's going to be more and more and more threes taken as we all get older. He can do that. There is a connection from just a human being side that also is a fit for this program. He's incredibly polished. He's elegant. He's all class. And when you start talking about those things in a fit, maybe the most exciting thing that I feel is that at age 26, we can get him better. We can get him better. And having spent, those guys started 10 games. Think about that. They played 10 games as starters before we played Brooklyn. And then they were able to knock out another 11. And so the days are early for us and for him. And I really feel that his human skills, his character, his talent base at age 26, we can bring that to a higher level. And he's a great worker in person, and he will let me coach him. He will let us coach him.
Brett, you've talked throughout this whole press conference, you seem as more determined, more passion, than maybe you've shown throughout your whole 6 years here. I mean, are we reading you right here? And if so, how much of what happened on Sunday added to your resolve, and how long did it just take you to sort of get back to this place after Sunday?
Incredibly quickly. When you say how long did it take, incredibly quickly. I lived a life where Ray Allen hit a shot to take away another NBA championship. That was a gut-wrenching summer. And the response was, they came back, and while I'm here in my first year, they came back and doubled down and won it. They could have swept them. when I see that ball hanging on the rim that seemed like a month, and then it goes in, and then I quickly leave, and I'm aware of Joel's reaction. I'm aware of the team in the locker room, and I'm aware of my coaching staff's feelings, and it's silent. And then you get on a plane and you fly home and you quickly knock out 17 exit interviews, and then you get in the car and go to New York City. Then I get back at 2 in the morning and rush in here and talk to you all now. Life moves. My belief on what we can do and how I see the world has only been advanced. Most of it because this is what I see, this is what I truly believe, and some of it is because I've experienced it in the past. That deflation, that moment, I think has a chance to be incredibly powerful for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as an example. It hasn't made me into a woe is me mood. In fact, I'm going the other way. I'm doubling down on what I believe in and what we have been doing. And I can't wait to sit with Elton and our owners, Josh and Blitz, and understand, okay, now what's the roster look like? What are we going to do? How do we put this thing together? Because the base I get, the ability to have a team back and have corporate knowledge and continuity and carryover, that's when you can take off. That's when coaching and playing has a chance to go to a higher level. And that's my mood. That's how I see the world, truly. And I'm just so excited to start when I'm able.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you all.
Good morning and welcome to your regular Fox 29's News Now programming. That was Sixers coach Brett Brown speaking in the wake of a crushing Game 7 loss for the Philadelphia 76ers against the Toronto Raptors, eliminating them from the playoffs. We're going to get back to some local news this morning. New developments in the case of the Septa train conductor who was shot on the job last week. Septa police have released video of the alleged gunman, and they're offering a reward if you can help catch them. Fox 29's Lauren Johnson filed this report.
This is exactly what happened. The train pulled into this station here at Carpenter Lane. A conductor steps off, hoping to help passengers and see what was going on, when two men walk right up to him. One of them tried to rob him, and things don't go so well. So now a $6,000 reward from Septa and Philly police to get the two suspects off the streets. Septa leaders calling them the most wanted men, bold enough to approach a train full of passengers in the middle of the day on Friday and start shooting when they don't have their way. What they wanted was money from the conductor. When he didn't comply, one of the men shot before they took off on foot on nearby Carpenter Lane. Writers we caught up with have opinions about this latest act of violence.
Those two men are Septa's most wanted people. We want to find them. We are announcing a reward, $5,000 from Septa, $1,000 from the Philadelphia Crime Commission. We're looking for information to help us solve this and to make the public safe.
Our police are out in the area. Our police are riding trains. That this is a rare situation, but one that needs to be dealt with very strongly.
It's really concerning because this is a pretty safe neighborhood, and my kids ride the train. I see lots of kids getting on the train to go to school in Center City and come back, so it's concerning to know that it could be unsafe for them.
It won't keep me from riding. You cannot be you cannot give in to the fear of it. My prayer is that they are found and removed from the streets.
Very, very rarely do we have incidents where our employees are injured. This is one of those incidents. That's why it is so important to us to get these two people off the street.
So take a good look again, just steps away from the tracks where they tried to rob the conductor, right in front of a packed train. Passengers on that train called 911, provided aid to the conductor until police arrived and rushed that 57-year-old to Albert Einstein, where he was listed in stable condition. His injuries were non-life threatening. Both men are described as being in their early 20s, both of them also wearing gray hooded sweatshirts. One of them had a gap on the front, the other, it was really hard to make out, but police are hoping someone recognizes them, and that person could be eligible for a $6,000 reward.
And in Burlington City, a woman says a man asked her for sexual favors. She also says she saw the man approaching underage girls on their way to school. Now, police want to talk to those girls. Surveillance cameras show Johnny Moore panhandling on High Street moments before he was arrested. The 19-year-old was charged with soliciting sex. The victim also told police she saw Moore approaching underage girls on their way to school, even touching one child's shoulder. The teens ignored him, but police want those girls to come forward to see if more charges should be filed.
We work very proactively with the school district. We want to get that information out to the public. A lot of our officers are parents. Most of us live locally, and if that was our child, we want to get that information, and we would like to have that information. In the event that your child was not approached today, just go over the danger signs and go over exactly what this juvenile did today. She saw something suspicious. That person approached her. She did not give any good information for that person and immediately responded and reported it. So that's exactly what we want to hear in the community, and we just want to maintain a safe environment for our students.
Following the arrest, police notified the Burlington City School District, which alerted parents, encouraging them to talk to their children. And in Washington this morning, U.S. officials listed $300 billion more of Chinese goods for possible tariff hikes, while Beijing vowed Tuesday to fight to the finish in an escalating trade battle that is fueling fears about damage to global economic growth. Fox's Doug Luzader joined Good Day this morning with more.
Well, President Trump is expected to ratchet up pressure on China after the trade war. I guess some people are calling this a trade war. Has quickly escalated, especially yesterday. Did you see what the stock market did yesterday?
They took a huge hit. But the long-term implications really are the big question now, especially, Doug, now that China has announced what they're going to be doing in response.
Hello, Doug.
Yep. Punch, good morning. Punch, counterpunch, and then another punch, it sounds like, may be coming from President Trump, who's defending his strategy here on Twitter even this morning. But this is getting pretty tough, and we saw what happened to the markets yesterday.
The closing bell came with some pain. The Dow fell over 600 points yesterday, a drop largely attributed to new tariffs announced by China in retaliation for new U.S. tariffs. And last night, President Trump at the White House acknowledged some uncertainty in his strategy.
We'll let you know in about 3 or 4 weeks whether or not it was successful. You never really know, right?
But earlier in the day, he was talking about even more tariffs.
I haven't made that decision yet. We have the right to do another $325 billion at 25% in additional tariffs. That is a tremendous amount of money.
A tremendous amount of money, but also higher prices passed on to consumers here at home. Farmers will also take a hit. And while the president has promised relief, it does raise inflation concerns.
Certainly, if we get tariffs encompassing the totality of U.S. imports from China, then the inflation impact is far more significant. It all depends on the duration.
And the duration depends on those ongoing talks between the two countries. But it's also important to keep all of this in perspective.
Yeah, we have $120 billion worth of goods that we export there. And, if you look at our GDP, it's like 21 trillion. I mean, it's really just a blip on the radar screen. So I think, from that standpoint, China has a lot more to lose, and we're definitely in a position of strength here when we're negotiating.
Well, assuming those negotiations are fruitful. Now, there is kind of a backstop here. The end of next month, President Trump and China's President Xi are set to meet at the G20 summit in Japan. But, you know, that's a long time to wait, especially when you look at what happened to the markets yesterday. Now, Dow futures are up this morning, so we may see a little bit of a rebound. 600 points is a lot to make up, though.
That's for sure. Wow. I'm not even going to look at my 401k. Doug, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Thanks.
And in business news this morning, time for the shipping wars. Walmart's latest move to keep up with Amazon's plan to offer one-day shipping to Prime customers. Good Day spoke to Fox's Tracy Carrasco to discuss.
What are they offering now? I don't have to leave my home.
Essentially, Walmart announced that they're going to be offering next-day shipping for orders $35 or more on the thousands of items on its website. They're going to be starting this first in Phoenix, Las Vegas, then Southern California, eventually rolling it out gradually to the other major cities in the country. But this comes just a few weeks after Amazon announced that they would be offering next-day delivery to its Prime members. But that, you have to be a Prime member, which is $119 a year. So this is great because you don't have to join, you don't have to be a member. So I think that's one advantage that Walmart has. But really, we are seeing these retailers step up trying to compete with Amazon. So we'll see. Maybe Target is next. Maybe they'll start offering their next day shipping as well.
Well, it sounds like a lot of jobs for people with, I mean, delivery jobs, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Amazon
The fulfillment centers.
and Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What is it that from Walmart that I need so desperately that I need to have it delivered in a day?
Toilet paper.
Absolutely.
If you're out of toilet paper.
Paper
I need that.
towels,
Yeah.
toothpaste.
You know,
me
that's
that
true.
same day.
Or even water. You know,
You can use
I
the
would do
faucet.
this. No, I don't drink tap water.
What? I do.
Really?
Is that bad?
No,
it's just a skookle. No big deal.
Ever been down there? No, the tap water here in Philly is actually pretty darn good. Now, I noticed that your hair is behind the opposite ear today.
Oh my goodness. The things he
Isn't it?
notices.
Yes, it is. Good eyes. I'm going to keep switching it up to see if you're paying attention.
Keep
I
them
think.
guessing.
That's right. See,
Keep you on your toes.
Women always say, you know, you didn't even notice my earrings or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what color I'm wearing right now, Tracy, but it's fine.
It's a beautiful green dress. We'll see you tomorrow, Tracy. Thank you.
And moving on to your Fox 29 Weather Authority, here's a look at ultimate Doppler on this rather chilly, gloomy Tuesday to follow a gloomy, chilly Monday, though temperatures are a bit warmer than we experienced Monday. Temperatures will reach a high of 58 degrees amid cloud coverage and periods of rain. Taking a look at current temperatures in our viewing area, a very chilly 43 degrees in Mount Pocono, 49 degrees in Trenton, 53 here in Philadelphia, 52 in Toms River, and the highest of the bunch, 57 in Wildwood. And looking ahead to your 7-day forecast, again, this Tuesday, clouds, a shower or two are expected, hopefully not enough to put off the Phillies game tonight against the Brewers, as last night's was delayed. But tomorrow, that's when the sunshine returns, with a high of 72 degrees. And Thursday, there is a chance of some scattered showers coming back into the forecast. And the same, unfortunately, for Friday. But the weekend is looking pretty good. 75, 77 for Saturday and Sunday, which should be perfect for some home games at Citizens Bank Park. And don't forget to download the latest version of the Fox 29 Weather Authority app to have the latest forecast right at your fingertips. And here's a live shot of the White House, but we're actually going to move on to some local news for you this morning. In Delaware County, Police are searching for a teen who they say mugged a 94-year-old woman as she left a local pizza shop. Upper Darby police say the woman was leaving Long Lane Pizza Saturday, heading to her home a block and a half away on Bayard Street. While on her steps, police say a teen, possibly 13 or 14 years old, snatched her purse with her credit cards and Medicare cards inside. Neighbors and police are in disbelief that an elderly woman was attacked.
Young kid comes behind her, grabs the handbag. She tries to fight. She apparently cuts her right hand. And the bad guy makes off with the handbag.
She's just a fragile little lady. I don't understand why anyone would try to attack her.
This gangster, this hoodlum that robbed her is a true scumbag. In my opinion, he's a true scumbag.
Upper Darby Police Superintendent Chitwood says the victim was only slightly injured, but it could have been a lot worse. And back here in Philadelphia, 26-year-old Maurice Smith is behind bars over what happened Saturday night on Temple University's campus. Philadelphia police pulled him over on the 1800 block of North Broad Street for a flat tire. That's when they say they saw a gun in his waistband, and he sped off, dragging an officer. One officer fired a shot, hitting Smith in the arm, who then crashed into a Septa police car, injuring one of the two officers inside. That officer is expected to be okay. A gun believed to be Smith's was recovered in an alley Sunday morning. And in the state of New Jersey, they're making it easier for victims of sexual abuse to sue their accused abusers. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signed legislation allowing child victims to sue up until they turn 55 years old. Victims can also sue within 7 years of realizing the abuse caused them harm. The old limit was 2 years. Accused abusers may include religious organizations, Little League teams, scouting troops, and more.
You want to be stronger. The way to do that is to have lots of people. So, for example, we're in this trade war with China.
And I'm agent. I represent Temple.
In the race for the Democratic nomination for president, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren stopped in Philadelphia yesterday as part of a town hall with the American Federation of Teachers. She vowed that, if elected, her administration would help out public schools. Senator Warren isn't the only candidate making a stop in Philly this week, as former VP Joe Biden will hold his campaign kickoff rally on Saturday on the Art Museum steps. And more in local news. You spoke and PATCO listened. It will not move forward with planned changes to its night owl service. The changes were supposed to kick in next week, but after receiving negative feedback and offering to postpone the scheduling, PATCO says it's canceling those plans altogether. The plan would have closed some PATCO stations between midnight and 4:30 a.m. Towns where stations would close were very upset. PATCO says it will set up a task force to study the safety of passengers during those overnight hours. And in entertainment news, Felicity Huffman officially has pleaded guilty for her role in the college admissions bribery scandal. The actress was seen walking out of the courtroom yesterday afternoon. Prosecutors say Huffman paid $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT scores corrected. She will be sentenced in September. And because of her plea, prosecutors are now recommending that she serve 4 months in prison and pay a $20,000 fine. And this morning, President Jimmy Carter is recovering after falling and breaking his hip. A spokesman says Carter fell at his home in Plains, Georgia, while leaving to go turkey hunting. We're told Carter had surgery and the operation was successful. Jimmy Carter is the oldest living president at age 94. And on Good Day Philadelphia this morning, new research addresses how likely kids are to suffer repeat concussions. One of the study's authors joined Good Day this morning to discuss.
Well, this morning, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia has revealed the results of a new study on concussions in conjunction with the CDC.
Listen to this. 1 in 6 children with a concussion experiences a second concussion within 2 years.
However, researchers say in most cases, kids can return to learn and return to play if they follow doctor's orders. So we have Dr. Christina Master, the author of the study, which was done right here in our
Good to see
area.
you, doctor.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
And we have Nicholas Champetti.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
we go.
Champetti, like champ.
You're
Yeah.
17 years old, and you've had how many concussions?
3.
3. And we have your mother here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Lisa. What school?
I go to St. Joe's Prep.
Everybody recognizes the sweater for sure. So, what was your first concussion?
My first concussion was a long time ago. I would say about, what was it?
Freshman year, 4 years, 5 years ago?
No, I had one before that. What? It was about, I think, 7 years.
I mean, this is telling, though. You're trying to remember how many you've had, right? Because you've had how many total? You said
I've had 3 total, yeah.
Okay.
All from playing hockey?
Yes.
But you had a helmet. You've been wearing a helmet.
I have been wearing a helmet.
For the whole time. So what's the new study say, doctor? I just mentioned there. If you have one concussion, you're more than likely to get another.
Yeah, so we always knew that once you've had a concussion, you are at an increased risk of getting another concussion. What we never had was an actual number to quantify what that risk was. And so we looked at kids 5 to 15 years of age and looked at their concussion when they came to us for care, and then looked at the next 1 to 2 years how many had another concussion.
This is the way concussions was described to me, and see if this is even right, doctor, if I'm even close. So you got your skull, you got your brain inside your skull, and when you get hit really hard, like Nicholas did apparently, that the brain tears away from the skull, the bone of the skull. Am I close?
So it's not exactly like that. What we think is actually happening is that there's a lot of stretching that's going on. So if you think a little bit of the fact that your brain is sitting inside your skull, and when it shakes, your brain actually has neurons that stretch, that's probably a little bit more accurate, where the neurons are stretching during that injury because of the twisting.
It seems like it would make sense. If that damage was there, it seems like it might be weak, so you might be susceptible to another concussion. And did you find that it's the same area of the brain?
So what's interesting is that concussion really is a functional injury. We don't see on standard imaging, and even in some research modes, it's not easy to be able to identify a structural injury with concussion because it's probably at the microscopic level. So we don't have evidence that that we can say that it's the same area. We just understand that the clinical syndrome that they present with is another concussion.
Now, for Nicholas's case, it's been hockey, but is there a difference if you got the concussion in a different way, if you're playing a different sport or something else happened? Would that
Yeah,
have
that's a
difference?
great question. It seems that it doesn't actually matter what the mechanism of injury is. In our study, kids were just as likely to get a second concussion if they had one in life, like they fell or they had an accident, or if they had a sports-related injury. And so a lot of the awareness is about sports, but kids get concussions and things other than sports.
What did you notice different about him during this concussion era of his life?
Well, after his concussion, he was tired. He slept a lot.
That's a symptom?
It is.
Tired, okay.
Yeah, he slept for probably first time for several days.
Wow.
And then it was just, I think, more lethargic. He wasn't as quick as he used to be, but it got better as time went on.
And then was this after the first one or after the second one?
Well, the first one was pretty mild, so
Okay.
we didn't really see anything different. We were just kind of being conservative and let's sit him out, just make sure he's okay. This past one in October, it was pretty bad.
And this is the latest one?
Yeah.
Do you still want to play?
Yes.
In college?
I would like to.
And Mom, how do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it. He has kind of learned what is going on, and he knows that if something doesn't feel right, I'm not going to play. And it's something I think he learned, so I'm comfortable with his decision.
Okay, go back 7 years, and you're looking. What do you want to? Would you let him play?
Yes.
You would.
He loves it. It's his passion. I wouldn't want to take
All right.
something away from him.
Doctor, what would be your advice about playing hockey, football, even soccer with the ball pounded into your head?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's really important to remember is that obviously I'm in sports medicine and we're proponents of the fact that there's a lot of benefits from sports. And I think for full disclosure, I think I also ought to tell you that I'm a hockey mom, and so I had a son who I also allowed to play hockey. And I think our message about concussion is that it is important that you know what the signs are, identify it, self-identify, recognize, and take care of it. I think that if you take care of it, that's your best shot at making sure that you completely recover and have your best chance of coming back.
There is a risk that you're doing permanent damage.
So again, from that standpoint, I think that what we would say is that it looks like you can fully recover, and we can actually even treat concussion these days. We are much more active in terms of the active rehabilitation that we'll do for any problems that you have after concussion. And so not only can you identify, recognize, remove, and support kids, you can also treat them and then get them back to their previous level of function.
So the point then is with this new study is just to remind and let people know that you should be on the lookout for it to happen again.
Yes, it's not uncommon for it to happen. That we never really counted like this when it was my generation in terms of concussions, and so we didn't have a number, and now we have an idea, and that number is not overwhelming. It's not like 90% of kids get repeat concussions. It's 8% in 1 year and 16% in 2 years. It's definitely real, but we can recover. We can address it. Yes.
And it also depends on the age, correct? The
Yes,
older you are.
it's a little bit higher risk when you're older, probably because they're doing more high-risk
We
activities.
got to roll
than
here,
younger.
but
Sure.
what is the #1 thing to recover? Is it rest?
So rest is definitely important, but also actually active rehabilitation. Exercise that's not risky for your head is actually a really important part of recovery.
Find somebody like you.
Hopefully we can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with you. Where are you going to college?
I was Penn State.
Penn State, all right.
We are! Thanks for coming in.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for talking with us. Thank you for doing this study.
And more in medical news, the quality of your medical care may depend on your appointment time. Good Day shares why you might want to start scheduling those appointments earlier in the day.
So when do you schedule your doctor's appointment? Is it, get out of the way in the morning, middle of the afternoon, maybe in the early evening? That's normally when I see Dr. Mike.
Yeah, because we have to do the show, and then we come out, and then we, try to get in.
No wonder I've been sick. I'm just kidding.
You may want to change it, because Dr. Mike, you have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that you can get treated better if you go in the morning.
Well, that's what research from my alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania, seems to indicate. That doctors are better at asking about when you had your mammogram and when you had your colonoscopy earlier in the morning than later in the day. There's a little bit of a peak at lunch. I guess they have a little more something to eat and they feel better. But as the day goes on, they do less screening. And the numbers aren't good just to begin with. They're terrible. Now, for you guys, as my patients, the bottom line is you get in early because you don't want to wait 2 hours by the end of the day.
Right.
But look, you have to be a savvy consumer of healthcare. All right? Cy Sims, for people that grew up around here, an educated consumer is my best customer. And if you want to get good health care, you need to stand in front of your health care provider and say, look, hey, doc, or my nurse practitioner, my physician's assistant, when do I get my colonoscopy? When do I get my mammogram? Now, I've been blessed with obsessive compulsive disorder, so man, there's not many people, you know that. How many times? You don't walk out without...
Oh, you give us all the tests every time.
Darn tootin'. I happened to be in the area, went in to borrow a pencil, and he took blood. And a stool sample.
Well, it's all about love. And look, you need to find a doctor that is caring, compassionate, smart,
He's describing
and
himself.
compulsive. No, I'm not. I'm saying you need to find... Because next to marriage comes your healthcare provider.
That's all great and good.
Right.
Can we just go back to this study for a second?
Because I want to know, is it just that you guys are tired by the end of the day? Or you see how many patients do you see in a day? I mean, is
Well,
by the time you get to the end?
it has to do with probably the fact that there's so much to cram in. They looked at primary care, and so we, as primary care providers, are responsible for the whole machine. We have to deal with not only cancer screening, but if you come in and you're saying pain over here, we have to make sure that your cholesterol's okay. We have to make sure your blood pressure's all that.
I get all
and
that.
as the day goes on, it gets harder and harder, and there's something called decision fatigue.
Okay, hold on.
Because you say, I don't want a colonoscopy.
Why does it get harder and harder? Is it the fact that you just want to go home?
No, I go home late.
Well,
but the bottom line
You're
is
worn
that
out?
No, as the day goes on, you get tired.
Yeah, so you're
The doctor is tired.
You guys are human. You're human.
Well, you're human. So why would you? It's okay. You're going to need to go down and get an X-ray.
Right.
You're more likely to say that in the morning than the afternoon.
That's what the study shows. But
why would that be? Because maybe you're tired and you want to go home.
Right. But the bottom line is that we now have electronic medical records. And let me tell you folks that everything I do is tracked. Everything is looked upon.
All right.
Everything is, there's a green light called health maintenance on my screen. And if I don't ask.
So you don't have to remember, it remembers for you.
It flags you, it nudges you.
All right.
That's what they
Friday, when you come in here, I want to see a graphic, chart about when you're scheduling screenings. Do you schedule screenings all the way till 5 or 6 o'clock?
I ask people every time they come in whether they're having a screening. Yeah. And by the way, I'm pretty good with colonoscopies. I don't want to blow my own horn, but I have a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, my horn.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I do get a finder's fee. No, I'm just kidding.
I
don't
like
get a
colonoscopies.
How many patients do you think you see in a day?
I actually do. I like that thing they give you.
I need a half an hour here. Okay, so I see patients every half an hour because I can't do it any quicker than that. Now, most docs out there, they see patients every 15, 20 minutes. It's very challenging.
Well, you talk a lot. When you in a good way, you're trying to discover if I'm hiding something. You get to know the person.
Right, and I teach patients communicate or litigate. I teach the medical students and patients, you must communicate with your healthcare provider because if you listen to the patient, they will tell you the diagnosis.
Yes.
Sir William Osler, the father of medicine.
Father of medicine.
Now, I know we're being wrapped. Now, hold on.
are.
I want my own show. Now, wait a minute. All right. Healthy Kids Running series, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Jeff Long. It's all about getting kids to exercise at the Rose Tree Park in Media. 1 o'clock. It's going to be sunny. Sue told me it's going to be good weather. Get out there. Have a good time.
Okay. Samantha, can you remember to put a full screen together on Friday when he's here?
Yes.
To remind people of that.
I love you.
I one time was in his office. He said, I'm going to need a stool sample, urine sample, and a blood sample. So I just gave him my underwear. It's an old joke, and it's horrible. All right. We'll see you Friday.
And in entertainment news this morning, Desperate Housewives star Felicity Huffman has pleaded guilty in the college admissions scandal. She potentially faces prison time. How much? Good Day discussed this morning.
Well, actress Felicity Huffman, you know this story, entered a guilty plea yesterday in connection to the college admissions scandal, Alex.
So she pled to a charge of conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud for paying $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT score boosted. Prosecutors said they would recommend 4 months in prison and pay a $20,000 fine when she is sentenced in September. But that's just what they're recommending, so we'll have to see what the judge actually decides and if she'll actually serve any prison time.
All right, let's bring in Kristen, attorney at law here. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, it's a tale of two actresses. Let's put up the split screen here of Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman. Now, Felicity says, okay, I'm guilty. Lori on the right goes, no, I'm going not guilty. So what's the difference here? Why would Felicity Huffman admit that, okay, I did this?
Felicity Huffman probably sees the writing on the wall. She doesn't want to spend up to 20 years in jail, which is what that particular charge could hold.
Whoa.
And so by pleading guilty, by taking accountability, what she does is she puts herself in a little bit of a better position than Lori Loughlin. And as you saw, the prosecutor's recommending 4 months versus up to 20 years.
So if I'm Felicity and the attorney, so can you come back and suggest house arrest as opposed to the 4 months?
Absolutely.
No. I did it, but give me house arrest.
Right, because I admitted to it. I said I was sorry. I wrote a letter.
That's right. And at the sentencing hearing, she'll have letters. She'll have people from the community come in and testify on her behalf. She'll bring in anything that could really mitigate this case so that she could essentially get house arrest. It's probably unlikely.
Do you think she's going to spend some time in jail?
Personally, I do believe she'll spend some time in jail. This was a huge case, but in fairness to her, her amount of money that she expended, $15,000 versus Lori Loughlin's $500,000, is minimal, right?
Yeah.
So that's a mitigating.
Interesting that Lori Loughlin's trying to gamble with this when she has a lot more to lose.
Right. Absolutely. And quite frankly, after reviewing the affidavit of probable cause, which is the criminal complaint where the law enforcement officer writes down the charges and the facts that support the charges, it looks like the prosecutors have quite a bit of evidence, including emails and phone recordings against Lori Loughlin.
Well, maybe Felicity's just a desperate housewife.
Nice.
Thank you.
And more on Good Day this morning. A new documentary examines the intersection of race and a flawed child support system. Good Day to discuss the film Where's Daddy this morning.
There's this new film out, I guess you could call it a docudrama. It's titled Where's Daddy? It tackles an issue many people would rather not talk about.
And if they do talk about it, they're very passionate on both sides. African-American fathers and the child support system is the topic.
And a lot of kids out here think their fathers don't love them and don't want to be with them, but it's not the father all the time.
Your father could give you this, give you that, but that time spent is more valuable than some little bit of money that you get. I've got a 22-year-old son.
So here to tell us more about Where's Daddy is the film's director, Rel Dowdell. And joining him is Joel Austin, the founder of Daddy University, who also appears in the film. Good morning to you both.
Thank you. We're honored to be here.
Yeah. Why did you make it? What are you trying to tell us?
As a filmmaker, I like to break stereotypes. That's my main agenda as a black male, conscientious, educated black male. So I wanted to show that oftentimes the African-American male is not a deadbeat father. He has hindrances in being a good father. He's a loving parent, but his hindrances. And I wanted to show that there's many well-spoken, articulate black men, not downtrodden black men, who have issues with raising their children who they love because of financial reasons, lack of education reasons. But I wanted to show opportunity, anything. But I wanted to dispel stereotypes. The whole object is to dispel as many stereotypes as possible.
What's the biggest stereotype, and especially from the legal perspective?
Legal perspective, you want to say that one?
One of them is that if you're in the child support system, that you are someone who does not want to nor can take care of your children. That's the largest stereotypes. 92% of males who are in the child support system do take care of them on a regular basis. 92%. There's only a small 18% that are quote-unquote deadbeats. And deadbeats means that you have the means, but you refuse to pay. And that's not the truth. The truth is 98% do pay, but they believe that, just because you say you're in child support, you must not want to pay.
There are some people that don't have jobs, don't have work. They don't have money to make their child support payment. That's not considered deadbeat.
That's not considered deadbeat. We have to find another system around that. If that is the case, then we have to put people in employment situations. We arrest people for 6 months, but yet we don't train them to be something when they come out.
So you worked on this for how long?
About a year.
About a year.
Yeah.
And so you talked to about 20 different fathers. What was the general consensus you found from their perspective?
The consensus was, in my opinion, Alex, was that I didn't demonize people I interviewed. So they were able to emote honestly. And the stories I told were incredible. Men crying. We had some brothers in the film, some black men who've actually died as a part of the system, meaning that there's been some hindrances in their health. The stories are incredible. I hope people come out and see the film as much as possible, because even as of now, they've got top schools like Princeton University, University of Michigan, UNC in North Carolina. A lot of the top schools in this country are now putting this film in the curriculum to endorse change and hopefully get some legislative things done with this process, because all black men should not be penalized so harshly for things they're trying to do right. But there are some problems with the system, because child support is really not being encapsulated, because in the end, as Joel would tell you, the child is being hurt oftentimes more than the parents.
But for the other side of it, because this is always a very passionate discussion when this comes up, that it's there for a reason. Some women and other people feel that it's there because, yes, they may be giving money, but maybe it's not consistent, or maybe it's not enough, or maybe it's certain things that maybe the father thinks they need, but the mother thinks, you know, are not really needed.
Yes, I agree with you.
So what do you say to those who say, yeah, we do need to have
can chime in on too, but my thing also is like, in my opinion, when children see parents fight so viciously and vehemently, there's damage that can be done that can be irreparable.
Right.
In my opinion. Joe, you can elaborate on it. You deal with
But
it
isn't
every
that
day.
where the court is supposed to step in to make sure to help and kind of be that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
in
we're
some ways.
we're advocating just like everyone else, which is equality. So when you talk about equality, it can't be just on your side. It can't be just on this side. Equality is overall, and we're talking about empowerment, empowering people to do things. So when you have someone that has to pay this and has to pay that and has to pay that, sometimes they spend less time with the children. So it's not a gender issue, it's a child issue, and it becomes a system issue. The system, just the dots and the I's and the T's sometimes is wrong. There are times when you can pay your child support in Philadelphia and still get arrested. And if you keep arresting me, I lose my job. Sometimes the system is not right. We're not saying
So
that
it sounds
moms
like
or dads, it's the system.
There's no one size fits all kind of thing.
There
with
is no
this,
one
is what
size
you're
fits.
saying.
And now that our families are both working and both doing this and both doing a different type of non-intact, now that you have co-parenting, sometimes the system doesn't understand. You can have someone that spends a great amount of time with their children, yet still has to pay a lot of child support.
How do we see the film? I know there's a screening today,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Today at Lancaster Avenue at 1 p.m., 3848 Lancaster Avenue to see the film. But it's also on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
It's on iTunes. It's on Vudu. But just don't get the bootleg. Just don't get it off of the street corner.
Because you put a lot of effort into this.
Oh, my God.
And I'm sure you're encouraging for it to create discussions and have
Yes,
people
but
from
I
both sides
appreciate
discuss it.
platforms such as these that let this see that there is an audience, because just because there's black men in the film doesn't mean it's not just that particular group of people. It affects all cultures. I'm just focusing on the fact that a lot of black men are going through this, but as I said before, since top schools are now adapting it into the curriculum, it shows that it's not African American, it's universal and needs to be changed.
You're trying to combat that stereotype.
Thank you both.
Absolutely. We're honored to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you for what you do.
How are things at Daddy University?
It is awesome. The dance, I can't
When's
wait.
the Daddy Daughter Dance?
The Daddy Daughter Dance is June the 15th.
Who's the host?
at
Who's the host?
Sugar House Casino.
Who's the host?
And Mike Jarrett is the host.
It's always great to see
Alex
the
is gonna
fathers
come
with
too.
their daughters.
We have this picture called Find Mike in the. I'm gonna.
It's such a great evening. So I'll see you in June.
I'll see you in June.
You got it.
Thank you,
Thank
Alex.
you.
And that is going to do it for us today at Fox 29's News Now. Catch us again tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. And be sure to follow Fox 29 at the fox29.com site and app, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest breaking news. And we'll see you soon.